Tonight, Front Page Challenge welcomes the outspoken Negro leader, Malcolm X.
Sir, what's the real reason why you two men split? Is it merely ideological, or is it personality? What else?
Probably personality. It was not the statement that originally was given by the movement when we split.
Malcolm X, a revolutionary leader, a fiery orator, and a symbol of the fight for justice. His speeches moved nations, inspired movements, and sparked debates that still echo today. In this video, we'll take you on a journey through 10 of his most powerful speeches. Stay tuned till the end to hear about the speech that redefined the global struggle for human rights. Let's dive in. At number 10, we go back to 1959, when Malcolm X took the stage in Washington, D.C. This was a pivotal moment where he introduced Elijah Muhammad, the leader of the Nation of Islam, and discussed the principles of nonviolence in self-defense. Malcolm emphasized that self-defense was not a form of aggression, but a necessary response to systemic violence faced by Black Americans.
We have to go to the root. We have to go to the cause. Dealing with the condition itself is not enough. And it is because of our effort toward getting straight to the root that people oftentimes think we're dealing in hate. We are oppressed. We are exploited. We are downtrodden. We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights. So the only way we're going to get some of this oppression and exploitation away from us or aside from us is come together against the common enemy.
Malcolm also delved into African history, reminding the audience of their rich heritage and urging them to reclaim their identity. This rally was significant because it set the foundation for Malcolm's philosophy of Black pride and unity, themes that would resonate throughout his career. Coming in at number 9 is Malcolm's electrifying Message to the Grassroots in Detroit. Here, Malcolm gave a searing critique of the civil rights movement's leadership, distinguishing between the house Negro and the field Negro.
So what we have to do is what they did. They agreed to stop quarreling among themselves. Any little spat that they had, they'd settle it among themselves. Go into a huddle. Don't let the enemy know that you got a disagreement. Instead of us airing our differences in public, we have to realize we're all the same family. And when you have a family squabble, you don't get out on the sidewalk. If you do, everybody calls you uncouth, unrefined, uncivilized,
to
savage.
emphasize the importance of revolutionary action over assimilation, he highlighted the global context of revolution, pointing to successful uprisings in Africa and Asia, and called for Black Americans to unite beyond religious and political affiliations. This speech remains a powerful reminder of the need for grassroots activism and solidarity in the fight for justice. At number 8, we move to New York City, where Malcolm X delivered a Declaration of Independence. This speech marked a turning point in his journey, as he announced his departure from the Nation of Islam and his plans to establish the Organization of Afro-American Unity, OAAU.
This means that I, too, believe that the best solution is complete separation, with our people going back home, that is, to our African homeland. But separation back to Africa is still a long-range program, and while it is yet to materialize, 22 million of our people who are still here in America need better food, better clothing, better housing, better education, and better jobs right now. Mr. Muhammad's program does point us back homeward, but it also contains within it what we could and should be doing to help solve our own problems right now while we're still in America.
Malcolm spoke about the need for a more pragmatic and inclusive approach to achieving civil rights, focusing on the power of grassroots organizing. He also began to broaden his perspective, laying the groundwork for alliances with other civil rights leaders and international figures. At number 7 is arguably one of his most famous speeches, The Ballot or the Bullet. Speaking in Cleveland, Malcolm delivered a fiery call to action for Black Americans to use their voting power as a tool for change. He emphasized that political engagement was essential, but warned that if systemic injustices continued, more radical measures might be necessary.
Whenever you believe in what the United States has taught us concerning democracy, which means one voice, one vote, this is good, because in the present world setup, world governmental setup, as is represented by the United Nations, each country there has one vote, which means that no matter how wealthy a nation is, it only has one vote. And no matter how poor a nation is, it still has one vote. So the ballot actually equalizes the poor man and the rich man.
This speech encapsulated Malcolm's philosophy of self-determination and his belief that change would not come without struggle. At number 6, the Black Revolution speech in New York City tackled the global dimensions of racism. Malcolm boldly declared that the struggle for Black liberation in America was part of a broader fight against colonialism and imperialism. He critiqued both the American government and the civil rights establishment, calling for a radical reevaluation of strategies. This speech was a rallying cry for Black solidarity, not just within the United States, but across the African diaspora. Halfway through our list, we find Letters from Abroad, delivered in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Fresh from his pilgrimage to Mecca, Malcolm shared how his experience had transformed his understanding of race and unity. This speech marked a significant evolution in Malcolm's ideology. He began to advocate for a universal approach to human rights, emphasizing that racism was not inherent, but a social construct that could be dismantled through solidarity and understanding.
Yes, as I pointed out when I was during my traveling, that nations African nations and Asian nations and Latin American nations look very hypocritical when they stand up in the United Nations condemning the racist practices of South Africa and that which is practiced by Portugal and Angola, and saying nothing in the UN about the racist practices that are manifest every day against Negroes in this society.
At number 4, the Harlem hate gang scare addressed the media's role in demonizing Black leaders and activists. Malcolm skillfully dissected how the press manipulated public perception to maintain the status quo. He called for greater media literacy among Black Americans and urged the community to take control of their narratives. This speech remains a timeless critique of media bias and its impact on social justice movements. Taking the 3rd spot is his appeal to African heads of state, delivered in Cairo at the Organization of African Unity. Malcolm passionately urged African leaders to support the struggle for civil rights in America, framing it as a human rights issue. This speech was groundbreaking because it connected the Black liberation movement in the U.S. to anti-colonial struggles worldwide, solidifying Malcolm's role as a global leader for justice.
African leaders, our problem is your problem. You will never be fully respected until and unless we are also respected and be divided or work in solidarity as African brothers and sisters the world over.
In 2nd place is To Mississippi Youth, where Malcolm empowered young activists to lead the fight for change. He recognized the energy and potential of the youth movement in driving progress. Malcolm encouraged young people to question authority, educate themselves, and take bold action. This speech underscored his belief in the power of youth to challenge injustice and build a better world. Finally, at number 1, we have After the Bombing, delivered in Detroit just days before his assassination. This speech came after Malcolm's home was firebombed in a targeted attack. Despite this personal tragedy, Malcolm's resolve remained unshaken. He continued to call for justice and equality, proving his unwavering commitment to the cause. This speech is a testament to his courage and determination in the face of adversity.
And brothers and sisters, if you and I would just realize that once we learn to talk the language that they understand, they will then get the point. You can never reach a man if you don't speak his language. If a man speaks the language of brute force, you can't come to him with peace. Why, good night. He'll break you in two, as he has been doing all along. If a man speaks French, you can't speak to him in German. If he speaks Swahili, you can't communicate with him in Chinese. You have to find out, what does this man
Malcolm
speak?
X's words continue to inspire, challenge, and guide us. His speeches were not just words. They were calls to action, reminders of our shared humanity, and blueprints for justice. Which of these speeches resonated most with you? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that matter. Until next time, stay empowered. A.